This is Dr. Elaine Ferguson. About 20 years ago, I experienced a dramatic shift in my thinking. In 1991, I gave a presentation at a mind-body medicine conference. During a keynote presentation, Dr. Deepak Chopra, one of the leaders in the field of holistic medicine, shared information that forever changed my life, and in particular, my perception of aging. He discussed a fascinating and remarkable study that occurred in 1979. A Harvard psychologist took a group of men, all nursing home residents between the age of 70 and 80, to a remote New England monastery that was retrofitted to 1959. Everything present, the television, magazines, newspapers, were all circa 1959. The men were asked to live as if it was in fact that year, 1959. They listened to radio programs, watched TV shows, and discussed the political events and sport occurrences of that time. The men were instructed to act as if they had actually traveled back in time. The researchers wanted to determine if their state of mind could produce measurable changes in their health. Dr. Ellen Langer, a social psychologist and Harvard psychology professor, reported the findings that were nothing short of remarkable. After 7 days, that's just 1 week, the men had more joint flexibility, increased movement, less arthritis in their hands, their levels of intelligence and cognitive functions measurably improved, as had their walking, muscle strength, and posture. In Dr. Langer's 2009 book, Counterclockwise, was published. She believes, and I wholeheartedly agree with her, that we are all victims of our own beliefs and stereotypes about aging and health. Without thought, we accept the negative cues our culture gives about disease and quote-unquote old age, and these shape our self-concept as well as our behavior.
From above.
Another interesting research study she conducted along with her associates was prompted by her desire to evaluate people who regularly wear uniforms during their workday and compare them to people who use street clothes. She found that those who didn't wear uniforms had more sick days due to illness or injury, more doctor's visits and hospital stays, more chronic disease, despite the fact that both groups, those who wore and did not wear uniforms, had the same income level. The uniformed people were not continuously reminded of their aging by their clothing choices. The health differences, according to Dr. Langer, were even more exaggerated when she evaluated affluent people. Presumably, the means to buy clothes were seemingly internalized as unhealthy attitudes and expectations. About the 1979 study, Dr. Langer wrote, "This study shaped not only my view of aging, but also my views of limits in general for the next few decades. Over time, I have come to believe less and less that biology is destiny." I want to repeat that because that's so important. Over time, I have come to believe less and less that biology is destiny. It is not primarily our physical selves that limit us, but rather our mindsets about our physical limits. Let me say that again too. It is not primarily our physical selves that limit us, but rather our mindset about our physical limits. Now, I accept none of the medical wisdom regarding the course our diseases must take as necessarily true. If a group of elderly adults could produce such dramatic changes in their lives, so too can the rest of us. Mindful health is not about how we should eat right, exercise, or follow medical recommendations, nor is it about abandoning these things. It is not about New Age medicine, nor traditional understanding of illness. It is about the need to free ourselves from constricting mindsets and the limits they place on our health and well-being, and to appreciate the importance of becoming the guardians of our own health. Learning how to change requires understanding how we go astray. The goal of this book, she says, is to convince you to open your mind and take back what is rightfully, sensibly, and importantly yours.